My cheating wife never saw the ultimate revenge coming after I caught her in the act. Hey Reddit. My marriage was supposed to be built on trust, love, and commitment. At least, that's what I thought. My wife, Emily, and I had been together for 7 years, married for 5. We had the kind of relationship people envied, or so it seemed. I worked hard to provide for us, often putting in long hours at my job to ensure we had a comfortable life. Emily, on the other hand, had more flexible hours working as a freelance graphic designer. It allowed her to be home more, to have more free time. I never suspected that extra time would be spent betraying me in the worst way imaginable. It started with small things. She became more distant, her phone was always face down, and she'd get defensive when I asked about her day. I told myself I was overthinking it, that maybe she was just stressed. But then she started dressing up more, even when she claimed she was just going out for coffee. I brushed it off, wanting to believe she was just trying to feel good about herself. Then there were the late-night work sessions with her laptop, the hushed phone calls, the sudden change in her behavior. I knew something was off, but I needed proof. One night, I decided to test a theory. I told her I had to stay late at work, but in reality, I parked a few blocks away from our house and waited. Around 8 p.m., I saw a car pull into our driveway. A man stepped out. He was well-dressed, confident, like he had done this before. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched him walk up to my front door, where Emily greeted him with a kiss that was far too intimate for just friends. My stomach twisted in knots, rage boiling inside me. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white, my mind racing through every possible scenario. I could storm in and confront them, but that wasn't enough. I needed to make sure she never forgot this. I needed to plan my revenge. I pulled out my phone and recorded the entire thing. Every embrace, every stolen kiss, every moment of betrayal. I needed undeniable proof. Then I drove away, my mind spinning with ideas. I spent the night at a friend's house, pretending everything was fine when, in reality, my entire world had crumbled. But I wasn't going to be the pathetic husband who begged for an explanation. No, I was going to be the man who turned this betrayal into a lesson she'd never forget. Over the next few days, I played it cool. I acted normal, even affectionate, while I put my plan into motion. First, I visited a lawyer and gathered everything I needed to ensure the divorce would be in my favor. Emily had no idea that I had already started the process. Then, I set up a private investigator to gather even more evidence. I wanted airtight proof of her infidelity so she couldn't worm her way out of it. The final piece of the puzzle was the grand reveal. I waited until our anniversary, a day she thought would be filled with romance and celebration. I told her I had a special surprise planned and even booked a fancy restaurant to keep up the illusion. She dressed up, looking stunning as always, but this time, I saw her for who she truly was, a liar, a cheater, a woman who had betrayed the man who gave her everything. When we arrived at the restaurant, I had everything prepared. I had invited some close friends, as well as her parents and my own. Emily was confused at first, but she smiled, thinking I had planned a beautiful anniversary dinner. Then I pulled out my laptop, connected it to the projector, and pressed play. The footage of her and her lover played on the screen for everyone to see. Gasps filled the room. Her parents looked horrified, my parents furious. Emily's face drained of color as she stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but there was no talking her way out of this. The evidence was right there, undeniable, inescapable. Tears welled up in her eyes as she reached for me, but I stepped back. I told her, in front of everyone, that our marriage was over, that I had already filed for divorce, and that she would be hearing from my lawyer soon. She begged, pleaded, swore it was a mistake, that she loved me. But love doesn't look like betrayal. Her lover wasn't spared either. His wife had been sitting in the room the entire time, unaware that she was about to witness her husband's infidelity in real time. The moment she saw him on screen, her face twisted in shock and then rage. She threw her drink in his face and stormed out, vowing to destroy him in the divorce. Emily was left humiliated, exposed, and with nowhere to hide. I walked out of that restaurant with my head held high, leaving her to deal with the consequences of her actions. But the story doesn't end there. Because what happened after that night only made everything even more insane. Update. After that disastrous anniversary dinner, Emily tried everything to get in contact with me. My phone was flooded with missed calls, voicemails filled with sobbing apologies, texts begging me to just talk to her. She showed up at my workplace, pleading with the receptionist to let her see me. She even waited outside my apartment one night, hoping I'd give her a chance to explain. But I wasn't interested in her excuses. There was nothing she could say that would erase the image of her wrapped around another man in the home I had built for us. I had already started moving forward with the divorce, and I wasn't about to let her manipulation derail my decision. Of course, she wasn't the only one facing consequences. Her lover, his name was Greg, by the way, was now dealing with the fallout of his own infidelity. His wife, Michelle, wasted no time in destroying him. She kicked him out of their house, froze their joint accounts, and filed for divorce with an attorney who had a reputation for being ruthless. From what I heard, she even went as far as informing his employer, which led to him getting fired due to the morality clause in his contract. It turned out he worked for a conservative firm that didn't take kindly to employees getting caught in public scandals. His entire life crumbled within days, and honestly, I couldn't care less. Meanwhile, Emily was still desperately trying to get back into my good graces. She tried guilt-tripping me, claiming she had made a mistake and that we should go to counseling. When that didn't work, she switched to anger, blaming me for being too distant, too focused on work, as if that justified her betrayal. I didn't respond to any of it. The moment she realized I wasn't going to cave, her true colors finally showed. She started making demands, trying to fight me on the divorce terms, but she quickly learned that I had been 10 steps ahead. With all the evidence I had collected, she had no leverage. The house? Mine. The savings account? Locked under my name. The car? Also mine, since I had been the one making payments. She was left with nothing but regret and a reputation that was now in tatters. But the most unexpected twist? Michelle, Greg's ex-wife, reached out to me. She wanted to meet for coffee, and at first, I was hesitant, thinking she just wanted to vent about our cheating spouses. But when we met up, I realized we had a lot more in common than just being betrayed. She was smart, funny, and had the kind of resilience that I admired. We ended up talking for hours, sharing our experiences, and by the end of the night, I found myself actually enjoying her company. It was ironic, out of all this chaos, I had found someone who truly understood what I had been through. And that was only the beginning. Another update. It's been a few months since that night, and a lot has changed. The divorce was finalized, and Emily was forced to move in with her sister after struggling to afford a place of her own. She lost a lot of her friends, not because I turned them against her, but because they saw her for who she really was. No one wanted to be associated with someone who could betray their spouse so coldly. Even her parents distanced themselves, embarrassed by the way she had humiliated our families. She sent me one last text after the divorce was finalized, saying she hoped one day I could forgive her. I didn't bother responding. As for Greg, last I heard, he was spiraling. Losing his job hit him hard, and without a steady income, he struggled to keep up with the legal fees from his own divorce. Michelle made sure he paid for every ounce of pain he caused, and honestly, I respect her for that. She had no mercy, and he deserved every bit of it. Speaking of Michelle, we've grown a lot closer. What started as occasional coffee meetups turned into late-night phone calls, then weekend outings, and before I knew it, we were spending most of our free time together. I didn't expect to connect with her in the way that I did, but somehow, she became the person I trusted most. She understood my pain because she had lived it, and that created a bond neither of us could ignore. We haven't put a label on anything yet, but whatever this is, it feels real, and for the first time in a long time, I feel happy. Looking back, I don't regret anything. Emily thought she could cheat and get away with it, but she underestimated me. She thought I'd be weak, that I'd beg for an explanation, that I'd forgive and forget. But I made sure she would never forget what she did. She lost everything, and all because she couldn't stay loyal to the one person who would have given her the world. And to anyone reading this who has ever been in my shoes, know your worth. Don't waste your time trying to fix what's already broken. Walk away, and let karma do the rest. Final update. It's been a year since my life was turned upside down, and I can honestly say I have no regrets. I've moved on, not just from Emily, but from the pain she caused. The scars are still there, but they don't define me anymore. I learned a valuable lesson through all of this: never ignore your gut feelings, and never let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. Because if someone truly loves you, they won't put you in a position to question their loyalty. Emily tried reaching out one last time, sending me a long-winded email about how she's changed and how she wishes she could go back and undo what she did. But the truth is, she only feels that way because she lost. She didn't expect to be exposed, humiliated, and abandoned by everyone she once counted on. And while I don't wish her harm, I also don't wish her happiness. She made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. As for Michelle and me, well, we're together now. What started as friendship turned into something I never expected, and I couldn't be more grateful. She's kind, strong, and most importantly, honest. We've built something real, something based on trust, and that's worth more than anything I had before. So to those who asked if revenge was worth it, yes, it absolutely was. Because in the end, I didn't just get even. I got better.